Well, we did have a heated debate last night, the federal party leaders in the only English language debate of this election. So how did they fare in the polls? Here's a look so far. The Conservatives took a 0.2% lead over the Liberals, followed by the NDP still in third place. We have just about 2 weeks' time till voters head to the ballot boxes. So the question, of course, is what difference might the debates have made and what difference might anything make now? Nik Nanos is chairman of Nanos Research Group. And, of course, tracking this, I guess I want to start with those numbers, Nick. And when we look at how tight it's been for the two leading parties, is anything about that surprising? And does it suggest to you that there could be, in the ways that votes get split or the ways that undecided voters swing, there could be a real change in what happens on the day?
Well, it's been the she loves me not trend line. It's like 32, 33, 34, 33, 35, 35. The thing is it's pretty clear that there's been a prolonged period of time where both of the front-running parties are gripped in a tie. It speaks to the fact that there is a lack of enthusiasm for both Justin Trudeau and Trudeau-Scheer based on what voters have seen right now. The big question is, what will happen in the close of the campaign? Because if one of those parties gets the upper hand, then you've got to watch out for strategic voting from New Democrats and Greens that might like Jagmeet Singh, might like Elizabeth May, but might opt for one of the other front-running parties in order to block a particular outcome.
And of course, in this case, we have this interesting scenario where you could say that on the one hand is the Conservative Party, because the other parties that you would put over on that side aren't meaningful enough to matter. But on the other hand, of course, is a great potential splintering of the left. Did anything that we heard last night or that might come up in the next couple of weeks change the fact that if you vote Green, you might also go Liberal in order to avoid an Andrew Scheer prime ministership?
Well, what we heard last night, at least, was that both Jagmeet Singh and Elizabeth May did well. They hammered away both at the environment and also for Jagmeet Singh at Corporate Canada. One interesting comment that I picked up last night was from Justin Trudeau related to Bill 21, which is the religious symbols ban, and how it sounded like he was a little more open to challenging it from a legal perspective. What does that mean to me? I think the Liberals know that they're going to have a tough fight in the province of Quebec against the Bloc Québécois in those ridings in Quebec, which overwhelmingly support the religious symbols ban. And what we're looking at is perhaps the Liberals are thinking that they can win an election based on the 905 by being more definitive on that particular issue in order to drive a wedge among voters for Conservative voters and New Democrat voters, where both of those party leaders have still been kind of a little, won't use the word cagey, but not as definitive. They've been definitive in their opposition, but they haven't been definitive in terms of whether they would actually launch a legal challenge if they were heading up a government.
I mean, one of the things, of course, that makes this election, like every other election in this country in recent memory, is the pandering to Quebec, the importance of Quebec, and as you note, certain parts of Ontario, that is in some ways very chilling to other parts of the country because they're so vote important. In this election, it's, of course, particularly interesting because the party that could hold the balance of power in a minority government is a separatist party. I mean, it's a very interesting kind of scenario. What's the prospect of that in your view? In other words, let's assume that there may be a minority. Do you think that it's more likely that it's an NDP party holding the balance of power or that it's the Bloc Québécois?
Well, as we crunch the numbers using the Nanos polling, we estimate that the Bloc Québécois could win between 10 and 20 seats. Ironically, the New Democrats can win between 10 and 20 seats. We may see the Bloc Québécois, depending on the vote splits in the province of Quebec and how they perform in the close of the campaign, actually be, hypothetically, the third party in the House of Commons. And what this means is we could have a House of Commons that is a bit like, do you remember those, or at least I remember those awkward high school dances?
Oh, yeah.
Where you don't know whether to establish eye contact or dance with someone, whether they want to dance with you or not. That's how the House of Commons could be, because we could have a situation where neither of the front-running parties can form a majority government, and they're going to look to the Bloc, the New Democrats and the Greens, and who knows what combination of parties would actually kind of come out ahead. The other thing that's critical when we look at the polling numbers is that although there's a statistical tie between the Liberals and the Conservatives, the distribution of Liberal support is better at generating seats, because when we get into Western Canada, the Conservatives have massive advantages, 20, 30-point advantages in these ridings. So the Liberals have the advantage right now when it comes to mechanically churning out seats for the popular support that they have.
All right, Nik Nanos, always great to have your thoughts. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nik Nanos is chair of Nanos Research Group.